Okay.
So we are talking about the math lesson which I
Mm-hmm.
taught last Monday, and it I thought that it covered standard 3, the learning environment. The students collaborated. I felt that students collaborated because they had choice boards and we created math buddies on Monday.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I thought that they also explored and were engaged with decision making
Mm-hmm.
and collaborating with each other, and also they engaged in exploration, which means there were a lot of creative problems
Mm-hmm.
which they found interesting and some found a little bit hard.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But then um, also managing the learning environment, I thought I tried to manage well.
Mm-hmm.
um, the desks where they knew like where to go and where to sit, and they also knew what is the next work for them, because
Mm-hmm.
I made the slides and I told them like after this orange group has this work and green group you have this work, so the directions were clear. That's what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
I felt. And then verbal and non-verbal communications, I respect the students feeling, but sometimes I choose just to look at them and glare at them so that they understand that I'm asking them to stop.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't understand, then I
Mm-hmm.
try to tell them by giving signals, or
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
So, and I think it was a student-centered classroom because after I discussed a short mini lesson, they were working and we were observing how they're working together.
Mm-hmm.
And they reflected their work at in the seesaw. So they created a post, and I also got some videos about that.
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that it was a good follow-up to the previous lesson, the math buddies, even though there's a couple of partnerships that they just need more time to get used to each other, more strategies to get along with each other. For instance, Amina and Zion there's a lot of friction between them. But I see some of the people getting better about communicating with each other instead of just trying to finish on their own. That'll always, that's good skills for them to practice and to learn.
Right.
And it was very interesting. The kids were engaged with the choice boards, and having them the second time and going through some choice board expectations with them first helped them very much to stay on task. I think we'll want to try that again in the near future so
Yes.
that it becomes even more comfortable
More
for them.
comfortable. Right.
And that sort of thing of managing the learning environment, those routines that, because it's a new teacher and they're new ideas, the more that they have that knowledge of what to expect, the practice getting there will just make things really smooth.
Right.
So that did go more smooth. This is a challenging class, so it's impossible to just do nonverbal communication with the children to get them back on task. There's several that distract each other. Oftentimes that they're doing it intentionally. They do it to me. We know that's a problem. Right. Parents are involved. Sometimes the quickest way to deal with it is to ask somebody's name, and then maybe the next time say, I think this, I'm reminding you now a second time. Do you need a third reminder? That's a nice firm but short way and a kind way to say we've already talked twice or something. So I understand having nonverbal communications is ideal, but we know already this far along in the year that these children need really explicit, reminders to stay on task. And providing that seesaw post was wonderful. That is something that the parents really appreciate. I have kind of fallen short. I get so hung up on trying to get through so many lessons, but giving that time to the seesaw post is so valuable. And I think that the kids did a great job with it. We always have to keep track of the ones who fiddle around so long, and then then it becomes recess and they just slip out with everybody else. And so it's up to us to keep track on who did it, really did it, and that. So one thing I would like to do is make sure I get you onto that Seesaw link so you can see their posts and you can hear them. It might be fun to actually just do a lesson about, pull a small group and say, I noticed when you're talking, you we always start with a compliment. You had good ideas.